Hello Bells Up Studio and welcome to today's 20-minute set where you will need one heavy kettlebell. We're going to be working some lower body and a little bit of your back, kind of in an unconventional way. You'll see what that is once we get there. This is definitely not a super cardio intensive class, but we do have the option for some side step kettlebell swings, which will bring your heart rate up. Your interval today is going to be a 30-second on, 30-second off, 1-to-1 ratio. You're going to go through your movements 3 rounds, so about 15 minutes of this actual working time, and then we'll get a little bit of a heart rate elevator with our warm-up and practice our hinge a bit. So just keep that in mind. You're probably going to feel maybe a little like this through today's set. So let's go ahead and get started. We're going to go for goblet deadlifts today with this bell, and if this is a little too much for you to start, I'm going to have you just bring your hands behind your head and take good mornings here in this place instead. So if you're feeling pretty good, you're going to grab the handle with me, and we're just going to take easy deadlifts. We're going to do this about 50 seconds. We'll go 3, 2, and 1. So hips are hinging back is the most important thing in my deadlift. I'm going conventional style, which means I'm bending my knees, letting the weight drop to the floor, but with control. So I'm not reaching with my arms. They're staying in place. My chin is staying tucked. I'm not doing this. So I want to think of my eyes slowly coming to the floor, slowly coming in front of me in a strong fixed position here. Should be warming up the backs of your legs and getting this hips back position to feel pretty good. If you're not quite sure what that is for you, I want you to physically push your hips back until they can't go back anymore, and then bring your hands down. This is about where you could finish for your deadlift, and then bend your knees a little more until that bell touches the floor. You're here for 3, 2, and 1. Your next set, we're just gonna take the pace up a little bit with some goblet cleans. So you can always stay with those deadlifts, or if you did the good mornings, you could take deadlifts this round. We're just gonna explosively thrust our hips and catch our bell at our chest. Let's do the same thing here. We'll go 3, 2, and 1. So hands come down. I'm gonna thrust catch. Heels can come off the floor. I'm thinking of using my feet to lift the weight and move it from the floor to a fixed position in my hands here. So all it is a very explosive deadlift. Same position. You might consider dropping your hips a little bit more than you would in your deadlift, and that lifts your chest a bit because we're going vertical with the kettlebell. It's moving in a line straight up your body. That facilitates that path a little bit easier. You've got 3, 2, and 1. Your final thing here, you're gonna take reset kettlebell swings or some swing start drags. Your swing start drag, you're just gonna practice pulling the bell behind you and keeping your arms really tight. You'll either move back or switch positions to do those. Reset swings are just taking one kettlebell swing at a time. So you'll swing it once, set it down, do it again. Whichever one feels the best for you today. We're gonna be doing some of these start drags in a single arm version later in our program. So let's go ahead and start it out. 3, 2, and 1. So my string start drag is here, and then I could switch and do the same thing again. This helps us to connect to our core and upper back for the position we need to hold the kettlebell when we swing. Maybe you take a couple of those and then come into position to try your reset. So I thrust, hike, let the bell drop to the floor, stay here. I'm gonna sit back and feel my hamstrings, hike, thrust, I think I said it backwards the first time, and then let the bell drop. A few of those will start to get you feeling what you want to feel in your kettlebell swing position for when we do this just in a few minutes. Okay, we're in this for 5, 4, 3, 2, and go ahead and relax. I'm going to explain to you what we're going to get up to exactly in our intervals today to finish our 20-minute set. Pretty simple program today. We're taking some suitcase deadlifts to start, which is holding our bell on one side and executing our deadlift. We're not gonna go all the way to the floor. We're gonna take a Romanian style where we're gonna keep the bell just hovering off the floor and then stand back up. Your stance needs to be a little bit narrow so you don't hit your knee with the bell, and you don't want your knees to cave in here when you're coming down. So you're still gonna think hips back. It's a lot of work for your core and your abs on the opposite side. So this might feel for some of you like more of a core workout than an actual, what do I want to say, deadlift like blitz to your booty. So we're going to do each side of your body for those. After we go through that, we're going to hit side step kettlebell swings. This is one that if you're not feeling very good with actual kettlebell swings, I want you to go for a 2-hand swing instead and don't mess with the side step. If you feel really confident in your kettlebell swing, you can practice moving one foot in when the bell comes to its top position. So you're gonna land almost in what would be like a plank position with both feet touching at the top. So this is what it looks like. You're just gonna alter your feet in the step every time that you swing. So we'll come into position. You can take one swing to start, and then you'll move one foot in step, other foot in step. The reason this is a little more advanced is because you have to know your timing for your swing because you don't want to hit your knees with the kettlebell. That is not fun. But you're going to get a little bit more inner thigh work in this one. As many as you can do in 30 seconds, you can of course set it down and rest if you need to. Then we're going to take single start drags. So what this looks like, you're going to come into position like you're going to single arm swing this big bell. You're going to hold it here and pull it back with one arm. We're going to do the same thing again. Pull it back. We're gonna practice these to connect again to our lats and work a little bit of our hips, a little bit of core, a little bit of strength here. So a heavy bell is good for this one. If it's too light, you might not feel it a lot, but you will get some practice with that connection. So that's kind of our pull for the day here with this set. It's a little different. So we're gonna do each side and that will conclude your intervals. I'm gonna give you just about 30 seconds to get your bell out, to get into position, and to get ready to start our set with our suitcase deadlifts, our swing start drags, and what was the third one? Our side step swings or regular kettlebell swings. I'm gonna take my first few of these facing forward so you can see that my hips are not shifting with the bells and my knees are not moving. You don't want to kind of collapse to the other side. So I want you to think about as you lift your bell in this deadlift, pushing down the other foot and keeping your other hand tight. Let's go ahead, start out our first one. We're gonna go 3, 2, and 1. A little bit more advanced version is to keep it on the outside of your leg, but not let that hip shift. If that's too much, you're gonna let it just go down the front of your shin like this. Try it over here and see if you can really think of fighting against that natural feel of this hip wanting to shoot out. Remember, this is a 30-second interval. You don't have too many of them. So I want you to try to keep moving through this and stay even. You've got 5, 4, 3, 2, step to the side, set it down. We're gonna do your opposite hand. One side is probably gonna feel better than the other just because this is a lot of core work, like I said. So you might feel like it's harder to actually physically hold and keep the hip position because maybe one side of the core is a little weaker than the other, which is totally normal for us as human beings. We're not perfectly symmetrical, nor will we ever be. So if you're like afraid of asymmetry, it's probably never gonna be exactly the same. Sorry to break that to you. Let's go ahead and get your other side. 3, 2, and 1. Honestly, over the years, there are very few people that I think have actually had such aggressive asymmetry that it hinders their movement or it's super visible. So if you're someone that's like, oh, I'm really worried about that, most likely it can just kind of be corrected through moving in general. You don't have to focus too much on that opposite side. We'll go 3, 2, and 1. Bell comes down, shake it out. Also, this is completely unrelated, but if you need a session that is a little more mellow, this is a good one to favorite. This is a good one to remember because we're working a lot here, but it's not one that's gonna leave you dead on the floor, which a little foreshadowing our next class, because, you know, that's why this one's not so crazy. The next class in this program might actually just leave you a little dead on the floor. Let's go ahead and hit side step swings in 3, 2, and 1. So what I'm trying to say here is enjoy this one while it lasts. You can take that one regular swing and then try to step your whole foot. Maybe see if you can swing a little bit higher than normal just to give you that tiny float to land here. Sometimes I see this. It's like a little toe touch in and you're physically moving. I want you to ground down with that stable leg side. Push it into the floor. 3, 2, and 1. Rest. Maybe you kept count there, maybe you didn't. It's all good. We're in an interval set. You don't have to worry about that too much. I just want you to try your best. We're gonna take those start drags. I'm gonna set my bell a little bit forward so I can just move backwards for a few reps instead of switching directions every time. I get a little dizzy with those. Those of you that have, I didn't say this earlier, but if you do have a chin-up or pull-up practice, you could alternate your sides in these and use your second interval for pull-ups or chin-ups, as many reps as you can get in that 30. Okay, let's get your first side. 3, 2, and 1. I like to flip my hammer grip and kind of pull it that way. Or you can keep your palm facing you and pull it that way as well. Keep the same hand when you do this one and see if you can imagine using no momentum. You're physically just doing this, activating that lat muscle, using your core here. 10 seconds, try to get your butt kind of low and really think, shh. Try not to let your other side, again, take over. We've got 3, 2, and 1. We're gonna try to stay as even as we can. Let's go ahead, hit your second side in 30 seconds. Remember, we're doing all of these sets 2 more times through. Okay, here we go. Clock is on. 3, 2, and 1. Let's go ahead, hit that other side. I gave you guys a little less rest, I just noticed, but this one isn't exactly super high heart rate, so I think we're gonna be okay here. We're gonna survive. I want you to try to get maybe at least 5 of these and see if you can really think about pulling it nice and far, almost behind you. Let's go 5, 4, 3, 2, and rest here. 30-second rest break. We're gonna go back to the beginning. I'm gonna take the deadlifts from the side, maybe like a little side angle this time. Just change it up a little. I like to try to give as many views of the bod as possible. It's part of the reason I wear, shorts sometimes, sports bras. It's not for any other reason than I want you to be able to see my body. We've got 3, 2, and 1, not for selfish reasons, for alignment reasons, because I know so many of us are visual learners, and even if you're not staring at me the whole video because you're concentrating on your form, sometimes it does help to look up and see that movement pattern, see what it looks like, and help you feel it. Especially those of you, if you were ever a dancer or you're somebody that really can pick up visual cues quickly, they can help so much more than the verbal ones. We've got 3, 2, and 1. Rest there. I've also been I've been wearing booty shorts a lot for classes, which isn't my favorite to film because I feel like I'm always pulling them down and moving them around. But I cannot find a pair that don't physically move at all. And if you can, please drop it in the comments because I think that they don't exist and maybe they could never exist. We've got 3, 2, other side. They might be one of those physically impossible things to make happen if you have some thighs in your life here. If you're worried about your hip shifting, do this. Stand next to a wall, and if you run into it here, you should be going right against it, straight back, straight back. Be careful with this too. You don't want to drop a bell on your toe, so just be mindful of where your bell is in space here as you're moving it over your foot. You've got 3, 2, and 1, especially if you're going barefoot like I am in these classes. Free foot picks in Bells Up Studio just by the nature of the beast here. I like to recommend shoes, but it's another thing just like shorts. Lately, I've been so bored of low profile shoes. I usually wear Vans and I'm getting to the point where I'm I can't buy another pair of Vans. I'm getting so sick of them. Same happened to me with Converse. Let's go ahead and go into your side step swings. 3, 2, and 1. By the way, this is perfectly great. This is like gravy for those of you that have been doing this for a while and you feel really solid at it. No pressure to go into the side step yet if that's not for you yet. Back to shoes. There just aren't a lot out there that I like, so it's been kind of freeing to train barefoot again and love it. We've got 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. We have our start drags, 1 more set each side. So again, if you have shoe recommendations as well, I'm how about you guys tell me what you're doing out there, because I always like to know. It's always fun to know. I just wear these days in the gym, if I'm doing this kind of stuff, I'll try to take my shoes off and wear my Vans, or I've been wearing random assortments of Nike and APL and all these different brands just to lift in when I'm in a machine or whatever. Okay, let's go ahead, get your swing start drags. We'll go 3, 2, and 1. I do have to say for kettlebell training, I know Nike has Flyknit as a trademark probably, because that's their thing, but the APL, even though they're insanely expensive, I think for what they are, they're low profile shoes that are like that knit fabric that barely have a sole work awesome for kettlebell training. You've got 3, 2, and 1. I feel like they've been my favorite with their toe bed, and they don't pay me to say this. I've just really found that they're kind of a pair I could transition to multiple things if I'm looking for performance and not just style or whatnot. So keep those in mind. Maybe if you're in it to win and investing, those could be one that you could wear for a lot of different things. Let's go ahead and get your other side in 3, 2, and 1. Just pulling it through. Little thread the needle here. Watch that you're not overly extending your back. We, again, want to keep this control of your rib cage over your pelvis. You might need to remind yourself here before here. We're going to cinch it together before we go back, so you're not getting that pop in your upper back and you're not feeling pressure down there, especially when we get into those deep hinges. So I'm always reminding myself, pull it together, rib cage over pelvis, then hips back. I feel my abs here. Then I pull. It's a whole different experience. You've got 3, 2, and 1. We have one more experience together. It's our final set of intervals here. 5 more minutes in our class today before we finish up this stuff. Getting a little hingey. I do have to say, if you like this program and the bilateral stance felt a little too easy for you, we always have different weights. You never know. You could take this one in a later date into a staggered stance, which is that 1 foot behind. I'm trying to change it up for you a bit here with this bilateral, so a little different, a little more core intensive with our positioning. We'll go 3, 2, and 1. I guess that's all relative too, but again, options for you. And just like we've talked about a lot, you always want to have some modifications in your back pocket that you can make for yourself, that you can figure out if you're in a pinch and you're like, that movement doesn't work for me, what could I do? And you can kind of work backwards or even up if you need something a little more difficult. Remember, we're spreading the cheeks and shooting the booty back. So when you're here, I want you to think of pushing down the inner part of your feet. 3, 2, and 1. If you push down where your big toe is, just under your big toe, you're gonna feel your inner thighs kind of spin in. That's gonna make your butt feel things that it might not have before in a really good way in your deadlifts. I want you to try to make that happen. It's another good reason why having some freedom of your feet can be awesome, can help you ground to the ground. Ground to the ground is very repetitive, can help you suction yourself into the floor. How about that? Let's go your other side. 3, 2, and 1. So I'm thinking here of pushing, feeling that little spin in, and oh my God, I feel so much more happening in the backs of my legs and in my abs on this side. What a difference one little thing can make. That was for you, verbal cue aficionados. Remember, you can be here with your palm facing you. If the outside of your leg is not working, you've got 3, 2, and 1. One more set of swings, 2 more sets of swing start drags, 1 for each side, and then you guys are out of here. Final about 20 seconds in your rest break here. Start getting into swing position. I want these to pop. I want them to feel powerful. I want you to finish this session on a high note and not be living in too much fear for your next session, because it's going to be a doozy, let me tell you. Okay, here we go. Clock is on. 3, 2, and 1. It's one of those when I was programming it, I was like, bitch, are you sure you want to do this to them? And of course, the final answer was yes. We can't be finishing out a program or finishing out a sequence of classes like we're doing with these 20-minute ones structured together without having a little fun towards the end, right? You're gonna be here for another less than 10 seconds. I want a few more good swings. You've got 5, 4, 3, 2, and bell comes down. 1 more set of swing start drags. And you know what we're gonna do, guys? I'm gonna give you this 30-second rest break, and then we're gonna take 5 start drags together each side. Let's finish the class as one unit, feeling ourselves in this together, even though we're physically not in the same room, but we are in spirit. I try to channel your energy and imagine I'm not just talking to a camera, because I know I'm not, even though we're not physically together. I do appreciate all of you and can feel the love from wherever you are. Let's go ahead and start it out. We'll go 3, 2, and 1. So we're gonna hit 1 rep. Let's scoot it back. Hit that 2nd rep. Flip around if you need to. We're gonna hit 3rd rep. Whew. We're gonna come back. Hit 4th rep. Strong lat. Imagine this all coming from your back, arm, and core. Last rep on this side. Let's step back. Let's hit your other side. 3, 2, 1. Nice and strong. My left side sucks so much more than my right. Let's go again. 3 more strong reps together. Let's get after it. 2 more. Step behind your bell. Reach for it. Chest up. Pull it back with your back. Last one here. If you brought out like a 24 and above today, probably should be feeling some things, my guys. Okay, you guys did it. 20 minutes are done. We hit another one. I really hyped up the next class, so now you're probably super curious, but it's coming at you. We are almost done with this 20-minute 4-week program if you're following these in order versus doing them a la carte. So congrats on almost making it to the end. Let's hang in there and remember, get real, get strong. Bells up. Bye.